Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special Red Valkyrie Presents. I am, of course, Shae the Red with my co-host stuffing their face per usual, Cyborg Valkyrie. How you doing, Cy?
Yum yum. I'm doing awesome.
Such a douche.
How you doing?
Good. Oh gosh, your Abby disappeared. I thought you were turning your camera on for a second. I was very
Concerned.
excited for. I was excited for the audience since they never see you anymore.
Just deeply concerned.
That too. I'm always concerned, though. We're here with the man himself, Mr. Mad Ruth. How are you, sir?
Hello. Hi, Shae. Hi, Cy.
Hey.
Yeah. Yay.
How horrified are you?
I'm just excited to finally be here after 2 years. Like, it's been a long time coming. So
very much.
Yeah.
Very much. We're so fucking excited for this. Not that we've seen it. We've seen it. It's so good.
I've seen all of it. It's so good. Oh my gosh. This is definitely going to be a really, really cool experience for a lot of people. And, you know, normally we play the trailer at the end, but I'm kind of thinking we'll do the cosplay reveal and then we will play the trailer while you attempt to launch everything. And we'll see how that goes.
Attempt to launch. So you're predicting failure to launch. Is what you're saying.
I'm predicting difficulty.
I see.
I think we'll get through it.
I too think you will get through it. I have to keep moving this thing so you can actually hear me. I apologize in advance. When y'all see the cosplay, you're gonna understand why I'm gonna sound like this for the entirety of the
get
show.
ready.
It's happening!
Cosplay then trailer or trailer then cosplay?
Cosplay then trailer.
Metamorphosis completed, sir.
Shae the Red
Has now become
awesome.
Boom!
Oh, wow. That is awesome. Yes. One of the biggest villains in the book.
I needed it. The second I got to that page, I was like, that's the cosplay. That's
nice.
That's what I'm doing.
Very cool.
I very much appreciate the fucked up mouth. I do have screenshots that look better than just this.
No, I actually think, yeah, your camera's focusing and less digitized. So yeah,
nice.
Looks awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, are you ready to launch?
Yeah, I'll hit the button and I'll see what I can do. Death Metal Hero says hail, so hail Death Metal Hero.
What's up, Luke? Tell everyone else to get their asses over here.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I'll hit that button.
All right, you go ahead, hit the button. We're gonna watch the trailer.
Okay.
And we'll see if
it's only 25 seconds, so
I know, right? He's like, fuck, it's only the trailer that you're giving me shit. He's like doing it right now. You see it.
Next time you'll have a 6-minute trailer just to build in some time.
Well, launching now. We'll see. And
that
we
is
are
quick.
Live.
That is quick. And you know what? That was a really quick launch because I'm over here still trying to fucking back.
No, I learned.
Yeah!
Backer number what?
1.
Yes!
Oh, no way. Nice. Congratulations.
Yay!
Oh, that's
this
awesome.
This is what I just backed, everybody. And it doesn't show yet, and it's great.
Oh, that's wicked.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh my God, so, Canada, and it didn't put your funds in maple syrup dollars?
No, I put it in U.S. funds.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, you get a pick when you make your own. You can choose what.
Yeah, I study everything. Like I don't know if people know, I was in the military for 26 years, reconnaissance, surveillance. So a lot of sitting around and observing what other people are doing. So I definitely applied that to everything I did with building this campaign. So
that's awesome. Yeah,
I wasn't even in recon, and I apply that to every aspect of my life.
That's because you are terrified of making a commitment.
Wow, where did she go? I don't know what happened. Oh my god, what a horrible tragedy. She's flicking me off backstage. Once that finger goes down, then we'll see about re-adding you. So how you doing, Mad Ruth? You excited?
Yes, I'm very excited. I can't believe I'm finally here. So
I am super stoked because you and I have been talking about this for a very long time at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always, hypothetically speaking, what do you think of this random idea that I will give you no context for? And I was like, I'd have to read it. And then finally you're like, okay, so here it is, read it and edit it. And yeah, let me know. And then I got super excited and was like, so how many pages did you say we're done? Because I need the rest of this, like, today.
And there's still a couple pages you haven't seen yet. That
I know! It's killing me! Yeah. Fucking killing me! I'm it's getting, for anyone who's watching, it's getting to the last, 15 minutes of a really intense movie, and then having somebody turn it off and be like, you'll see it later. And it's like, why? Horrible. Yeah, as Luke has accurately said, Cy's aiming to get punched the next time I see them.
I always aim for Shae to punch me. It's just a matter of where. And with what?
And yeah, there we go. Cy's leaving now. That's too much. All right, so let's talk about what this is, because the story is really fun, if not a little intense. Like, you have a lot going on, but the pacing is really well done throughout all of these pages. So why don't you go ahead and give us your pitch of what is SOLTAC?
Okay, so oh boy, yeah, I'm gonna have to go a little bit back on a time travel here. So starting back in 2005, when George Lucas said he was done making movies, I figured there was a gap in science fiction. So I started dreaming up, how you're sitting in a trench and you're staring at the snow and you're freezing cold, or, you have nothing else to do for hours. I started dreaming up this sort of world that I could create and write after I retired. And this was 2005. So I sat down and wrote in a novel form the first 6 pages of the graphic novel back then. And then I ended up on various deployments to Afghanistan and to Bosnia and other places, and I just put it on the side burner, and I didn't pursue it any further. But it was still my place to escape with regards to science fiction and dreaming up a world 6,000 years in the future. What would happen to human civilization? Will we conquer the solar system? What we do with genetics? What will happen with artificial intelligence? I mean, you get all the idea. You got to spend a lot of time sitting around thinking up this stuff, right? And I just kept world building the idea, the concepts, the characters, and just replaying that movie in my head. So even though I didn't commit anything to paper, I completely world built this idea for 15 years. And then obviously I found Comicsgate 2018, and then I decided in 2020, watching everyone else's channels, watching all the creator streams, how to put a comic book together, I figured I would take my shot at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to go into what SOLTAC's about, it's 6,000 years into the future. It's a sci-fi adventure that follows basically anti-heroes. Because it's the first book, the hero's journey is very important. How each of the characters interact and finally meet each other is very important. Getting all those characters together, and then pushing just that first chapter of my story and where it's going.
That is awesome. This is something that, because I remember going through and talking about these various panels and things that we were seeing and stuff like that. And not only was there a lot of really, really good bones there when we very first got to it, but I think the amount of kind of reflection and going in and tweaking and fine tuning. Like we're getting down to, we were going back and forth on, should this be a conjunction or should they have the two words separate in order for it to hit the tone right? Like there was a lot of thought and care from the creative team on this book, and it really, really shows because all these characters have very distinct voices, very distinct personalities, interactions with each other, and it doesn't, you could read the bubbles and have a pretty good idea as to who's talking once you kind of get introduced to the characters.
That's exactly what I was hoping to go for. I was even going to color code the bubbles, but like luckily Kurt said that wasn't required. And I mean, if people don't know who Kurt Hathaway is, I got books here. He lettered Black Flag, the original. You know, he's, these books. Like, I'm a huge Extreme Studios like fanboy. I'll admit it. Like, so to have Kurt as my letterer on my book was I couldn't believe it. And in between your editing notes, Cy's editing notes, I mean, me editing it, you editing it, Cy editing it, and then Kurt editing it, like everyone's working on top of each other in layers to bring the best product that we can possibly deliver.
Absolutely. And there was so much, there's just, I'm bringing this down so I can actually talk. There's a lot of just really interesting kind of plot lines and things that you've put in here. Not to mention, there's some parts in it that like literally it made me groan, like, oh my gosh, the dad joke. But you're like, but you can't change it. Like, it has to stay that dad joke because that's what he is. Like, he's horrible and he makes you want to punch people with his like stupid humor. But any other humor doesn't work. Because, like, the first time I came across it, I was like, this is so bad. This is so bad. I've got it. Let me see. And I, like, tried tinkering with it. And then I read a little bit more on it. And I was like, I can't. You can't fuck with it. Like, he needs to be this corny because that's what he is.
Yes.
I was waiting. So, the people who have... One day you guys will get this. But I was waiting in the beginning when he goes and gets his pal for help with the mission. I was waiting for him to be like, no, there's not going to be any monkeying around this time.
Yeah. Yep.
This mission is bananas.
Oh, those could have been cool. That might be for book 2, you know.
But I mean, that's the thing is, like I said, everyone has such distinct voices and personalities, and they all come through really well. And it felt, there were times where I actually forgot that I was like editing because it just felt like being put in the middle of an experience, watching a fun movie. And then I was like, oh, wait, that's constantly. A typo.
I'm like, I just kept scrolling. I'm like, what's next? Shit, I should have gone back and actually put in.
You're like, oh, let me go back an hour and start again. Like, damn it, I got too into it.
Well, that's the thing too. About being such a nerd that like I read so many books, I watch so many movies, and I just sat back and I analyzed everything. Like, what is it that makes me enjoy the hero's journey? What draws me in about characters? What makes me want to relate to them, right? Like, you can't just throw a team together and send them out to do something. You have to relate to them. You have to identify with them, and then you want to become a part of it. So,
right. Well, and that's the thing is, you have characters in here that I love. You have characters in here that I love to hate. You have characters in here that I'm like, oh, you're just exhausting. Like, to just being near you, I feel tired, you know. And they're just, it's a really fun cast. And I kind of like looking back now and seeing these pages again, I forgot where the start was because I feel like it was such a huge journey. There was so much that happened, but it wasn't overwhelming at the time. Like, it was, you know, really, really well thought out, well paced, and everything flowed really well.
So the good thing is that, again, because I've been building this world for 15 years, this isn't something I just threw together to make a comic book about. So I'm able to play through my head how much story I want to do in 88 pages, and I laid all that out in thumbnails, and then from there, once I realized how many pages I had left, which do I want to add pages to? What do I want to move everything down? Like, to show everyone an idea. Like, again, I'm a first-time creator, but I mean, that's the script that I wrote, and that's all 92 pages, double-sided. So I wrote that in 3.5 months, and then I thumbnailed everything in conjunction.
Oh yeah.
But people don't realize that I might not be the artist because I hired the best editors, I hired the best artists, I hired the best colorists, I hired the best of everyone that was willing to work with me, right? But
Yeah.
I drew every page of my comic book in storyboard. So this is what I give Gonzalo. Like, I'm not the greatest artist in the world, but I'm not bad, I don't think.
No, not at all. In fact, I've seen people put out comics that look like that. Like,
yeah,
just,
I know.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be another one of them, right?
Well, thank you for hiring, because I mean, just like Luke said, the art on this is really, really well done, and things are very clear, panel to panel, and I like the fact that the panels are a lot more interesting than, you know, a lot of people get caught up in like a standard comic book. Here's, you know, different shapes, as far as like rectangular shapes go, and they just kind of keep it plain, but you've made it in a way where it adds to a lot of the drama, it adds to a lot of the storytelling aspect, and makes it a lot more entertaining to kind of go through.
And again, this comes from just reading a lot of comic books myself, and trying to because of the price point of this book is so high, trying to make sure that, like, back in the 80s, you know, when a movie had a really high budget, like Terminator 2 was the most expensive movie, you knew it'd be good because of how much they crammed into it. So I basically put that same philosophy with this book. I didn't want to over congest it, but I figured if I crammed enough really cool dynamic pages, cool dynamic art, cool dynamic lettering and colors, people would definitely feel they're getting their money's worth.
And story.
And story. There's so much good story. That's the thing that we were the most excited about, because I've backed your project is 401, I believe, for me. So I've backed a lot of projects, and I have not read anywhere near all of them. I don't even have all of them that I've backed yet. But I've read a good amount, and I've got to say, a lot of people skimp on the storytelling. Like a lot of people,
they blow their load on the art, and then you're like, okay, well, it's got art, but this dialogue is so simplistic. I mean, the characters are just, you know, surface level.
Like, there's the amount of times I've read something and been like, have you ever heard people talk, like, in real life? Have you ever had like an actual conversation with other humans? Because I don't know anyone who speaks like this
in English and not a lobotomized person.
Right. Like making conversations feel natural, making it, and I'm sure that part of that, if your experience was anything like mine, part of that is being in the military. You get exposed to so many different kinds of people, and they all have their own quirks, their own eccentricities and everything, and you learn, like, oh, you process things very differently than how I process things.
Yes, having to work with so many different people and get along together as a team and basically work together. But no, I got to admit that the dialogue is so polished just because so many people went through it. Like, I went through it, my wife, my best friend, Kurt went through it, then you and Cy went through it, and then Kurt went through it again. So, I mean, if you go back to the first versions, it was pretty bad. And all I could say is save the lettering to the last possible minute, which is what we've done, and just keep turning that story and keep turning it and turning it until it's as good and polished as possible.
Right. Well, and you know, having people that you trust to actually give you good feedback, that aren't going to just placate you or pat you on the head, but that are going to tell you, like, this doesn't work, this feels really weird, and you know, and not hold any punches. Like, I remember the first time we sent you anything, Cy and I were both like, ooh, he's gonna fire us, like, there's no way. And then you come back and you're like, this is exactly what I needed. I was like, oh, thank goodness, because we were very thorough, and we were very, like,
you know, honest, what it was,
like, blunt.
There was this moment where I'm like, that sword, it's back out.
Yeah.
And Shae's like, are you really gonna split that fucking hair? And I'm like, look.
Yes.
No, that will be gone in the final pages. We just haven't done the final art edits.
Right.
I'm like, look, he did not hire us to give him, like, wishy-washy so.
No.
Right.
You didn't hire me to ignore things, you know?
No, I want all feedback, and 95% of what you recommended actually ended up in the book. Like,
Yeah.
the only things I left out were little tiny artistic things that I'm doing. Like I'm starting off with ninth century and the da 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 da. Like that's the old like Battlestar Galactic type. So it might not be grammatically correct, but I want to put the big box around it. You know, like artistic things.
It's funny when you said it in that voice. I heard the Buck Rogers theme in the background.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the only little tiny things that I wouldn't change. Artistic or army jokes, because I'm also trying to sell to a lot of people I worked with, and there's 2 or 3 army jokes in there. They're gonna burst out laughing. Like, I'll decide. You know, that's something from my regiment, is when somebody wanted to sum up a conversation, it's I'll decide, and everyone would shut up. So
see, that's why Shae and I don't get it.
Yeah,
and that's the point. Is one of the and this is something that editors need to remember, and something that people like consumers need to remember, is when you hire somebody to edit, they aren't telling you what you have to change. They're telling you what their suggestion for changes are. And they're saying, this, when I read this, I was confused, or when I read this, it didn't make sense, or when I read this, it sounded odd. And it's up to you as the creator to decide if it's something that will stay in, if it's something that will change, or how you're going to go about it. And the thing that I'm really pleased about is the people that I've had the luxury to work with as far as editing have always been very receptive. And so whenever I'm like, hey, this sounds weird, I've had a couple of them come back and say, okay, I hear what you're saying. Your suggestion doesn't quite work because of this thing. So let's go back and forth and see if you can help me figure it out. And then they come up with their solution, and it's good, you know, but there's times where editors are giving suggestions, creators are making the choices, and I've seen situations where creators have made choices and I've been like, ooh, that is not a choice I would have made. And
that is a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the sack.
Yes, and I will say, in this, there isn't that. The choices that you have decided to make, it might sound a little odd for us, but it's like one line that sounds odd. And I'm not gonna lie, I've read so many different comics from like Image, Marvel, DC, where I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, what? That was a really random aside. Okay, moving on. And that's all that'd end up being, you know. But to people who get it, they're gonna be like, oh, bro, no, you didn't.
Oh, that was a callback to like Spider-Man 1784 or something.
Where they do like the asterisk, and they're like, for background on this read, I'm like, that's like 40 other comic books. I'm not reading that to understand this one-liner joke. Like, fuck that. It's fine. I just won't get it.
And that's why it was funny.
Exactly. Like, and I've even done that where you go back through and you read all of those, and then you get to that line and you're like, oh, huh. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I read all of that.
Or it still wasn't funny. I hunted this shit down and it still was not funny.
Well, like at that point, it's really hard for it to still be funny because you binge read everything.
No, you bled too much for it to be funny at that point.
Yeah, you're like, it's just not funny anymore. But these are like grown-worthy dad jokes that'll make you be like, oh, I hate you. I hate you so much. And then you keep reading it and you're like, and there is no other way you could have said that. Yeah. Like, that is the only way that you could. You are a douche, sir. I want you to know that. Like, you're a douche and I hate you and I hope you win and fuck you. Like, there's a lot of conflicting emotions.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was aiming for, so it's perfect.
Yeah, I remember, because I remember complaining to you and you went, that's how it's supposed to be. And I was like, but I hate him. And you went, I know.
You're supposed to, at least right there. You're supposed
to kind of hate him a little. I'm like, oh. Well, I do a lot.
Well, I guess he sold it really well.
Yeah, Luke is very very true there. The communication between creator and editor is crucial. If you can't talk to your editors about your story and what's the best way to polish your story, then you need different editors. Yep. That is very true. And there's been times where we've sat down and talked with people and been like, you might need a new story. Mm-hmm. Like the where you're trying to go with this, the story you're trying to tell, which you have told so far, like those aren't the same thing. So I'm super stoked because reading this became one of my most anticipated. Like I get really excited when I read other stories, but this story was like, oh, so when's the rest of it gonna come to me? Because I really want to read the rest of it. Like, when is it gonna happen? You're like, I was waiting on you, and now you're waiting on me, and you're like, it's been 2 days. Where the other 48 pages, Ruth? And I was like, sorry, but it's exciting.
That's good. That's exactly what I'm going for. So
yes,
and it's super awesome because this is sci-fi, and that's my thing. So I'm like, fine tooth comb. Let me get this in my teeth.
It's funny because it's sci-fi, but it has enough, like,
it's not overbearing sci-fi.
Yeah, it's not like, what was that one where it just was so long? That movie, I can't remember. Anyway, there's a lot of sci-fi movies that I have a hard time kind of stomaching.
The original Dune?
No,
okay.
Because there's a lot of floating through space and a lot of silence.
2001: Space Odyssey.
That's it. That was it. Oh,
that's just Kubrick. Look at the beginning of The Shining when he's following that Volkswagen Beetle down the road.
That was at least somewhat interesting to a point, but this was just, we're floating through space, and it's so quiet because
there's classical music going on constantly. Yeah,
it's horrible.
It was horrible. Yes.
It's not like that. It's not hitting that 2001 like, oh dear Lord, let something happen. Like, why is nothing happening?
Yeah.
This is almost one of those, okay, but like, do we get like 2 seconds to like just breathe? Mm-hmm. Like, just for a second. Like, can we just breathe for a moment? Because there's so much that happens in this back to back to back.
I did struggle with that with this book because I knew I only had 88 pages to tell what I wanted to tell. So the one thing about the fights, I feel that the fights are too short. I would have liked to drag those on for a couple pages. But at the same time, like, everyone knows a fight happens, a fight has an outcome, and in order for me to achieve the 88 pages of story from beginning to end, like you said, I want everyone to feel by the end of this that they've been on a huge journey. Like I can't believe, like you said, looking back to the beginning, how far they've come. So definitely, it was a balancing act. So if people do come back and say, hey, the fights feel a little short, it's because I had to do all those introductions. And if I do make it to the next book, I'll be able to draw all that stuff out a lot more.
Well, and there was only 1 or 2 fights that I would say were a little bit abrupt. But most of the fight sequences I feel like hit pretty well, because you don't want 2, 3, 4 pages of the same fight scene. Right. And quips in the middle of a fight scene have always like irked me, because all I can think of is, if you're actually like fighting, you're really fighting for your life. Yeah. You don't have time for this quip bullshit, okay? Yeah. You're shooting, shit's happening. Oh my gosh, Luke, thank you so much. I totally forgot. Oh, the link.
The link.
This is what happens when your creator doesn't do a mailing list. Yeah. Apologies. There is the link. Yes. Don't worry. We yelled at him about this already. More than once.
I just knew that nobody knows who I am. And even though I've spent 2 years, turning my YouTube and being on Twitter, just trying to get more and more people to pay attention. Hey, I've got a project. Like, you can only scream and wave so much. So I'm really just hoping that the book sells itself, word of mouth sells it. And even if I get a bunch of people who back it the first time, once they've read it, I'm hoping they will then be like, oh my goodness, you have no idea what we've gotten. And then from there, I'll be able to grow, right? So,
Luke, I love you. Ruth, pin your campaign to the top of your Twitter, damn it.
I know, right?
Go do it right now. Right now, while we are talking.
Right now, once the stream's done, I'm going to be able to collect myself. And
So when I was setting up the stream, I'm like, so do you have like a link? And he shoots me like a preview link. And I'm like, that won't work. That I can't share that.
I mean, it does turn into the link, but...
No, the signups turn into the link. The preview, I don't think does.
No.
Yes, it does, because that's how I had it up.
All right.
I had it on the preview campaign. I hit refresh, and then it was the live campaign.
Sweet. That's good to know.
Yeah. But the scary thing about that
You're right.
So you're showing everyone the preview link. So if you're not ready, if you're still working on stuff, that can always have a negative effect. But
I have updated the description as well.
Thank you. And
You're
what I will say is definitely for SOLTAC 2, make sure that you have a sign up sheet so people, because the word of mouth works better when people are able to share out like a link for people to put their emails on, so they get an automatic notification from Indiegogo when you go live. And the reason that it works like that is because there are so many projects out there. If you don't have that link, then you're not reminding people who were interested in backing your project, and they may not see when you do finally launch. So that's the difference. But understand, first campaign, things like that happen all the time. We will be making sure that this gets shared out from our side. You pin it to the top of your Twitter so people can find it, and make it your pinned tweet. So write a really nice tweet and have really nice everything, and put that link in there, and then pin it to the top of your Twitter, and don't touch it until your campaign is done.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yes.
I know you will. I know. I'm only going to admonish you for another like half hour. It's fine.
No, it's great. It's great. All the feedback I can get, you know.
Absolutely. Well, and this is the thing is, this is such a good story. Like, this is like we were saying, it's the perfect blend between like sci-fi, action, military drama. It all fits together really, really well. And not a single one of those is overly heavy-handed. Like, yes, there's a lot of action in it, but it all makes sense in the realm of the story, so it doesn't feel excessive. And yes, there are a lot of military sides of things, but I really think after all of us kind of talking back and forth and everything, and kind of cutting through some of the jargon to get it to where it's accessible enough for people, it doesn't feel like Band of Brothers Marathon, where it gets a lot. Yeah, mash with lasers and samurai and AI. Kind of.
Well, comedy and drama and military and
gore and people dying.
I mean, I thought I saw Ellen Alda on page 64.
And yeah, see, Luke
it goes with this one.
I know. I was getting to that. The artwork in general, but this artwork is really, really good, and it's definitely eye-catching. So making sure you put your link up there. You got some good shots of Misha in underwear. I'm just saying. You could very easily get an up close panel.
I worry about the censors, and you know how people are
don't worry,
Twitter?
she's got underwear on. She's got underwear and a shirt on.
I saw titties on a campaign the other day, completely uncensored and just out. Here's what I would do.
I painted watercolor titties, and Twitter actually tried to say that my response to somebody else saying boobs, where I said yes, boobas, and they were like, this tweet contains sensitive content, and I was like, not the tweet 2 up from it where it's just tits. That's fine, but me saying boobas, that's too much. So I think you're fine.
What I was going to say was, at the top of your Twitter, where your banner is, at the house on fire, I would put some really nice artwork.
Oh yeah, make a new Twitter banner that has a bunch of your SOLTAC artwork. Get Junk and Earl in there, and
it's definitely time to update all that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you got 1,400 followers. Make it work for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Okay,
I started with nothing, by the way. This is all Comicsgate.
Oh wow! Look at you.
Yeah. I'm nobody, just in the army 26 years, and said, "Let's make a comic book."
You were born on Christmas?
I like to put that as my birthday.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me say that underneath the tree, half my presents would disappear, and then a few days later, they would reappear.
So nice.
Oh, it's horrible.
That is economical.
Yeah.
It's the worst. Don't ever do that to your kids if they're born on holidays. It's so mean.
My parents, God bless them, I didn't come up rich. I came up poor, but it made me the person I am today. So.
You know what? And that, honestly, you're good peeps. Yeah. I can say that wholeheartedly after, working with you, knowing with you, talking with you for, you know, what, two-ish years, year and a half.
Yep.
You are good peeps for sure.
Thank you. Likewise.
Aw,
Yeah.
appreciate. All right, so let's talk about your stretch goals. Then we're gonna go over your campaign tiers, because you have a lot of like it's a pared down campaign to be pretty straightforward, but
Yep.
you have really nice goodness on there, and it was really easy for me to be like, I know exactly what I'm backing, because this is exactly what I wanted to make sure I got. So
a lot of this has to do with the extra on shipping. I get it. People don't want to pay that extra $10 for shipping from Canada, and it's a pain in the, you know what I mean? So I figured if I throw in that extra ash can right away, that'll make up for the shipping. And if I throw in all these trading cards, depending on how this campaign goes, and potentially if we get there, people will get their money's worth. And everything I did was based on that.
yeah, absolutely. And the character design that you have, it's all really interesting. It's really like thoughtful. It makes sense. And it's got that nice iconic look that you really you're hoping for when you have like a team of characters and you're trying to bring that to, you know, hopefully be a standard in people's, you know, houses and everything. You need it to have that kind of iconic look, and you've done a very good job with that. So I'm not huge on trading cards. But there's some campaigns that I really like them, and these ones, I hope we get these all unlocked, because I think that these are really, really nice.
And it all comes into the process as well. So how those trading cards came to be, so when COVID started, a really good family friend of ours who's an engineer artist, he needed some extra money. So he got a hold of me and said, hey, I heard you're doing a comic. You want me to do some character designs? So that's where I came up with all the original designs of all the characters. And between me and Ben, we crafted every one of those characters until it's like, yes, that's what that character looks like. Yes. So these trading cards are all the original character designs that precursed us making the comic book. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And same with the artwork. It's the original artwork, like the very first drawing of Superman, let's say. If people get the artwork tiers, that's the very first drawing of that character.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, so you're unlocking after 1K where we get the Mad Ruth stickers, which will look awesome on all of my short boxes. Every 5K, we're getting a new trading card.
But I'm going to turn it more into a rectangle. But yeah, so
look at that.
Exist. These already exist. Die cut SOLTAC stickers, like all this stuff.
Very cool.
Exists.
You know, the motion on your camera is so good. Are you in 60 frames?
I have no idea. My wife bought it for me.
It looks damn good. Tell your wife she did great.
Yeah.
Right?
But this is all getting redesigned. Me and Gonzalo are going to change all this. So like that. But like all these add-ons, I mean, people can tell I've been at it for 2 years, right? Just
oh yeah.
Grinding
That
away.
is awesome, dude. All right. Let us look at what your tiers look like. So first off, right away, I'm going to tell you, pick a featured tier and make it one of your upper tiers. So either where you have all of the books, like all versions of the books, or some of the original art, and put that up as your featured perk. So that'll be the first thing that people see. Okay. And then they can get into the standard, but having it just go to, otherwise it defaults to your cheapest perk. And it's always good to lead with like, here's something that most people are probably going to like, or here's something that's really unique to our campaign that you can't get anywhere else. Like leading with those items are going to make people at least think about that a little bit more, even if they don't necessarily back that item.
Okay.
So, okay. First up, we have volume 1 with the ash can with the standard cover, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Blue Samurai pointed out I got a typo, and I was like, I got a typo.
I know. I was telling him, I was like, I need you to say it.
Okay.
Oh, it's when Dexter the bounty hunter, agrees to subdue the elusive new threat.
Okay. I will fix that.
It is in the body of the campaign, paragraph 2, third line from the bottom.
Nice. All right.
It's actually right below what's on the screen right now. If you, yeah.
Yep.
See, when Dexter the bounty hunter, the third line from the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, I threw that together because of Pete Smetti, actually. He's like, I need you to actually...
Pizza.
Yeah, he's the one. I need you to actually talk about the book. So I quickly threw that paragraph together.
You know, we see that so much. And people will make the campaign and they'll talk about making the book. They'll talk about where the ideas came from for the book, but they won't actually tell you what the book is about.
Mm-hmm.
Or
you always want to lead with what it is you're asking people to give you money for. So you want to lead with, this is what the book is about. This is what makes it special and unique and why you should get on board. And then you can go into the background on the creative team. This is me. This is what I do. This is why I'm into this kind of stuff. Because when you lead, anytime you're trying to sell the item, right?
Yeah.
The secondary thing you're selling is you as a creator, but the initial thing you're selling is the comic. So you want to lead with the thing that you're first selling and then give them a little bit more about you. And most of the selling of you as a creator is going to come from you going on these strains and talking to people and kind of showing your personality and showing who you are. That is going to go a long way. But as far as the campaign goes, anyone who clicks on the campaign, assume you got about 10 to 15 seconds of somebody reading it to decide if they're going to back it. If those first 10 or 15 seconds are like, well, when I was a young boy back on the farm, like people are like, fuck this shit. Like they're going to go off somewhere else. But if you're like, this is why SOLTAC is badass, they're like, okay, well, you get another 10 sequence. Keep telling me.
This is why Comicsgate's so great. So I sent the link out to so many people, and it's actually Anthony who came back and said, you need to move those sequential letter pages up. He says, and he told me to put them where I put them. And I said, okay, Anthony, thank you. And
and that's having them be some of the first things that you see people get to, because look, every time I look at a campaign, I very rarely read this, right? I look for that, which I'm very happy that you bolded because it makes it really easy to see.
Yeah.
And then I go, oh, this is where we're talking about it. I'll get to that later. And this is the next thing I look for. I want to see the artwork. I want to see how things are flowing from panel to panel. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Oh, okay, interesting. Oh, this is okay. All right, let me go back up and let me read about what this is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't know this, that's very difficult for me to go, oh, $25, sure, no problem. And then if I don't see art that grabs me, then I'm done. That's it. That was your 10 to 15 seconds.
And then you're gone. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And so having that bolded, having right here where you're actually talking about the book and what it is, not all of that, this right here, and then showing the artwork, that's really a good way to do it.
And again, this is all everyone's advice helping me, so thank you there.
Yeah. That's what this whole thing is about. You know, that's why people do this. That's why it's this kind of a group, because we want everyone to succeed. All right, so we've got the Blood and Ink Volume 1. So what is that?
So the Blood and Ink, so that's interesting. So everyone wants a line art version of the book. I like the Frank Miller with the red in there. That's just a me thing. So we're going back through all the pages, me and Gonzalo, and we're going to make sure all the blood elements are in a nice crimson red, and where his ink work was in black, we're going to make sure that's transformed into a red. So if people do want to get both the color book and the line art book, it'll be a more grittier, more dark, more violent, more bloody version of the same book.
The Sin City version of SOLTAC.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's so great, like the whole grayscale black and white books and stuff. I'm less for them because I really like the color and I like how the color can help differentiate stuff. But when somebody does something like what you're talking about, where you're like, oh, with accent red for all of the blood, I'm like, oh, that's a gimmick that I will jump on like happily. That is amazing. Like I really want that. So that was a good choice.
And although the cover doesn't have the final blood, again, I'm worried about Indiegogo. I didn't want there to be too much blood, so you won't see it on that one. But we will go back in that cover. The knuckles, the beer bottles, the faces, the noses. There will be red blood all over that cover.
Awesome. That is really cool. And then of course you can get both. This is the one that, unless you're going to do one of your original artworks, this is what I would at least make your featured perk.
Yeah, I'm going to go in and look at it. I don't know. Can I switch that into a featured though after the fact? You have to build it. Okay.
You can change your featured perk throughout the whole campaign. You can just
edit the perk,
switch.
and I think there's a checkbox, and it'll ask you the retail price, the sale price, just like it did when you were originally setting it up. And I think it's just a toggle.
Okay, perfect.
So this is to get both versions, which I'm just saying that is the best one, clearly.
That's the best for your money, yes.
Retailer copy. This is exciting. So anybody who is interested in helping support Mad Ruth, and maybe they have an LCS that is open to getting more indie titles, and this is an indie title that I really think would do well. Not only is the cover super eye-catching and the characters look really, really cool, the story is there. Like, there is enough story for you to be able to sell that to a good readership and probably have the repeat customers. So that's something that if you're gonna go to an LCS, definitely ask them if they're even remotely willing to consider something like this, because I think that SOLTAC should be in a lot of these smaller, like, mom and pa ones and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the story and the action to carry the heft of the 88 pages. It's not like a bloated, super floppy that someone's going to pick it up and be pissed off that they spent 88 pages reading something that could have been condensed down into 24, 22. So the value is there.
We have a good question from Blue. So they're seeing the 48 pages down here in the...
So I'll admit, I'm still to this day a little confused by all this. So it's 88 pages of story, meaning you flip a physical page, there's 88 pages of story to read. But if you count the pages you're flicking, there's 96 divided in half. It's 48, right? So it's 88 pages of story, 4 interiors, 4 for the cover. That's your 96. But if you're talking about physical pages to manipulate, it's 48. So I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, so you're counting in the 48. You're counting front and back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
their front is one page, back is another page.
Blue, 88 pages of story. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Yes. So one thing that's going to be kind of a pain in the butt, but since you are this is your first day, I highly recommend going back into your tiers, changing anytime it says 48 to 88 pages of story.
Okay.
Right? What that means you're going to have to do, and it's going to suck, because once you have the tiers up and somebody's backed it, you can't edit it. Right? That tier is that is locked in now. You can duplicate it, hide the original, fix the duplicate, and put it up. It's a pain in the ass, but if you don't want to have this question the entire time you are doing this, and you don't want people to instantly click off thinking that you're trying to pull a fast one, you're going to need to do that. Okay. So make sure it says 88 across the board.
Yeah, and they're only talking interior pages. You don't need to worry about like the inside cover or anything like that. Just the story pages from where like the dialogue or narration or whatever the interior art starts.
Right.
Yep.
The other question that I had, and I put it in the private chat for Shae to bring up, but it hasn't been that long ago. I see the original art tiers, and the posters look awesome. How do you get them?
Well, what do you mean? How do you get them?
I haven't seen a tier that says that it comes with them.
So are these posters, or are these the original artwork of the cards?
So yes, exactly. So again, here's what the trading cards look like. So if you go to the, I mean, I don't want you to hit the video, but if you go to the very top of my campaign, it says how to get original art. It will start with a obviously copyrighted song. I think it's the Cramps or something like that. But I physically hold every one of those 11 by 17s up to the camera that Ben Steamroller did. Those are what you're getting, the original 11 by 17 comic board. And then in these, he also went to the back page and he drew a sketch, a unique sketch that accompanies each one of those art tiers. So I crammed that. I crammed that tier with as much as I could. You'll get an original 11 by 17. You'll get the print, both books, the original. These trading cards come with that, and then the original sketch. So.
The word print threw me off because I hear print. I'm thinking,
Where? Oh, the 11 by 17.
So this is the print, the Dexter Barrow poster.
I'm making it big.
That's the print.
Okay.
That's the 11 by 17 print.
Got you. That makes
so
sense.
Yeah, so what I was looking for was how can I get the print without buying the original art?
It's unique to that tier only.
Yeah.
Because I got to mail 8 of those out, and they're so big, right? Like 11 by 17 package. I only want to mail 8 of those out, and okay. I know I can do it without folding the 11 by 17 art or folding the print. So.
Oh shit! You don't have you don't have USPS. You have the Royal Canadian Mounted Mail or whatever the fuck it is.
Our equivalent of, yeah.
You got the Mounties that write it down to you and hand deliver.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I would so back for that. Oh my gosh. I would back for original art if I had a Mountie that showed up and was like, here's your art, madam. Tipped a hat and went off on a moose.
Yes, milady.
I could get in the main in half an hour and get back out in half an hour.
Yeah, but it'd take you like 20 days to get back across the border with whatever the hell's going on in Canada right now.
That is true. Yeah. They'd be like, we don't trust you.
I was going to suggest the priority mail legal envelopes that USPS has, because you could put it in a hardback and stuff it in a legal paper-sized envelope. And it would fit, and it's a flat rate, so it doesn't bend you over on the shipping costs.
But I'm only gonna make 8 of those potentially. So
Blue Samurai says, was gonna back this all sneaky without telling, but if you have to fix the perk descriptions first, I'll wait. Blue, you can still back it. It's not gonna be a problem.
He wants his number to show up, I think.
It'll still show up on the number of backers. They deliver on moose back. I know, I want a moose back. I want moose back delivery. Moose are scary though. They're actually kind of mean. Like I was told when I went to Alaska, they were like, if you see a moose, don't go near it. And I was like, I mean, I wouldn't, but why? And they were like, those fuckers are really, really aggressive. I was like, oh, sweet.
Yeah, they'll derail a train.
Jesus.
Jeez. Yeah. All right. So we've got the one backer. You've got your fixed goal of 500. 60 days left. Look at you. Not even doing the, it might only be 30, y'all. Who knows? 60 days to get this going. I definitely think that you are in a good you're in a good place. A couple of little tweaks and stuff that, I'm sorry. I wish I would have caught it sooner. So it was already done before you launched. But, it's a first campaign. There's a lot of forgiveness. And you've got the ability to go in and kind of fix your tiers so those questions don't come up anymore, which is, you never really know what's going to hit until you get on a live stream and everyone starts looking at it and asking questions and thinking about spending money. So I'm happy that we're able to get you on. I really hope we get you on a bunch of different streams because this book is so much fun. This is such a fucking fun book. I had so much fun reading it. Really ended up loving the characters and it's so funny. Like Misha, I kind of fucking hate her. Like she's kind of a horrible person. And then there was the part, and I'm pretty sure you know what I'm referring to. And I was like, oh, poor Misha. Like immediately after, and then I was like, oh, I don't even like that bitch.
Yeah, they've all had very hard lives, definitely. They
have. And you really feel for them. And these characters are really fun and kind of ridiculous. And, I want to see this do well. I want to see how many issues do you have of SOLTAC like worked out in your brain in a perfect world, everything gets funded?
It's a trilogy in my brain.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, that is awesome.
And it's not I mean, Indiegogo's the big part, Comicsgate's the big part, but we've got a huge art community out here. We've got a population of 187,000 people, and we're kind of like 10 years in the past. Like, this is like the Shire where I live. Very conservative town, 10
I
years.
understand that. I'm from Utah.
Yeah. So
same thing.
So I'll be able, once I've printed and I've fulfilled the Indiegogo and everyone's gotten their book, I'll still be able to generate money by going to art fairs and the marketplace and things like that. So I'm doing everything I can to raise the funds I need to make book 2. And all this money goes into book 2, so it's not like I'm pocketing anything.
That is really exciting. I love seeing creators that are that kind of dedicated to it where, hey, we've already front loaded the cost and everything, and I'm looking to maybe start turning a profit book 2, book 3. Right. But I love that it's, you got a trilogy, where you want to go with it. You've already shown you're dedicated to it. So now we just got to show you that you have an audience for it. So you can have that reassurance that you're not just pissing away money.
It's still fun. I had such a great time making this book. And I'm just happy to share it. I'm happy to share it with anybody that wants it. That's my goal. If you want the book, back the book, you'll get the book.
Absolutely. Luke says new book Who Dis this Monday with Mad Ruth. Yeah. What time, Luke? Or Ruth? You should probably know too.
7 p.m. Eastern.
7 p.m. Eastern. So everybody make sure, go give Death Metal Hero a sub if you don't already, and make sure that you are ready for 7 p.m. on Monday. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm also on Lord Crackhead. I'm also on Jeremy's channel tomorrow night at 10.
Very cool. So. You can have that up while you're also bidding on the final bid of the auction on Red Valkyrie. Do both. Yeah. Do both. Believe in you. You can totally do both.
See, Shae, the first one is beers. The second one is hockey.
Hockey, yeah.
Ew, neither.
Neither.
No,
I drink Alexander Keats.
Sorry, I can't. I'm morally opposed to rooting for any Canadian hockey teams. I'm just not allowed to. You see, they take away my American card.
I'm originally from Toronto, and they haven't won since before I was born. So.
Hey, I was a huge Bruins fan, and then they traded Thomas, and then he retired, and I was like, well, maybe I'm still a Bruins fan. And then I started watching, I was like, fuck, y'all are not doing good. Like, Thomas saved your ass. I didn't even realize how much he helped y'all out.
I was a huge Rangers fan, and then Lundqvist retired, and I realized I wasn't a Rangers fan. I was a Henrik Lundqvist fan.
I was a Thomas fan, and then he got moved, and then I was like, well, okay, I'm done. I still love hockey. Hockey is the only sport I can watch happily, because I love a sport where they're like, as long as you both throw off your helmets and your gloves, sure, you can punch each other. And I'm like, yes!
I could live with hockey without the fighting. I mean, yeah, put them into the boards. But, punching them in the face, I could live without. I just like the speed, the finesse, the power.
I like the punching.
20 guys piling on top of the goalie trying to get it past him in the crease. That's hockey to me.
I miss the enforcers. That there's somebody out there who's just looking to fight.
Yeah.
Dude, that is true. I've watched people that like get lightly tapped and then they're like, throw out the goes like, come on. I'm like, bro.
No, then the two,
your girlfriend get mad at, did she cheat on you or something? And now you're upset and you just want to punch something? Like, calm down.
No, you bump the really talented player, and then the 2 6'6" guys come up to deal with you because they're the enforcers.
Yeah, like don't fuck with the star player of a team, because all their teammates are the ones that are gonna fight you. It won't be the star player.
They got one. He had an enforcer on both sides everywhere he went.
They got one tooth left between them.
Right. I fucking love hockey. Oh my gosh, I need to go to a game again.
Yeah.
All right.
Not the Caps.
We are so honored that we got to launch you, and I am really looking forward to seeing how this campaign does, to seeing you get on a bunch of other channels. We're going to still talk about this on Regen tonight, because I want to make sure that people know. And honestly, this was such a fun book that this is something that I want everyone to get a hold of. Because, like, first off, you got to know who the fuck this is.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to know who this is, because he's a fucked up individual.
I'm just saying he beat the shit out of that guy, and I'm not saying who that guy is, but damn.
It was rough. It was rough.
It sounded like you just said it was woof.
Woof. Rough.
McGruff. They beat the shit out of McGruff.
Rough McGruff. Oh no, not McGruff. Terrible. All right. Thank you so much, Ruth, for coming on. Did you have any other little bits that you want to say before we wrap everything up?
Other than just thank you so much for everything you put into this book. Am I crediting you right as just Shae and Alex, for editors Shae and Alex? Because usually
you can credit us as Red Valkyrie if you would like. That works for us.
I just wanted to know how to credit you properly in the book. That's the last one. But again, thank you so much for everything you put into the book, my whole creative team, and yeah, hopefully.
Yes. Oh, so exciting. By the way, you got 3 backers. You're at $170.
Nice. Thank you so much. Oh, it's wonderful.
You guys are amazing.
You'll hit funding in the first day. Absolutely easy.
And again, like, the book's paid for. I've got the money. Like, I know people are worried that people don't. I'm financially fine enough. You back the book, you'll get the book. That's why the $500 is there. It's not because I don't have my finances. And believe me, I know my printing costs.
Yeah. I'm gonna see if we can't push this a little bit more. Because if you hit that funding goal in the first 24 hours, then that kind of pops you up on the Indiegogo page a little bit better. So we'll push it. Make sure you push it. Make sure you go and pin it on your Twitter so people know that it's there. Fucking quiet ass launches and shit. Terrible. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I'm going to play the trailer one more time on the way out, and we will see you guys at 8:30 for some regen. We got some news and some fun.
A lot of pre-auction chilling going on.
Hand turkey goodness to do. There's oh my gosh, so much.
The long finger of Shae.
Things are happening. So we will see you guys then. Go back, SOLTAC. Catch you later.
Thank you.